we've had 3 premium quarterbacks, either to different degrees, try to get traded. Russell Wilson.
Three of the top 5.
Deshaun Watson. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
What would have happened with Deshaun? Hard to know now because his situation got complicated off the field. But
honestly, impossible to know. Like, would he have been traded? Is Trey Lance on the Niners?
And could it still happen? We'll see.
Yeah.
But with Russell and I'll use Aaron as a tiebreaker. With Russell, Seahawks basically, whatever they did behind the scenes, we don't really know. They played it straight. Texans, it was pretty clear where the public sentiment was. It was all on Deshaun's side.
It felt like Russell's was a little more of a plea of just, please listen to me. Like, I just want to be listened to a little bit. He felt like he felt very disrespected from their ears. Like, they didn't listen. They just talked. And it did feel like, okay, and they went out and were very aggressive, and they calmed the storm fast. Right?
Yeah. With Aaron, this thing blew up on Thursday. Friday, Saturday. Here we are now, Sunday. Where do we think
he added
anywhere?
to it at the Kentucky Derby, I think.
Well, yeah, he told Tirico, it's unfortunate that all this came out.
Like, Aaron, you fucking leaked it.
As people who've been on Aaron's side, like, the Packers handled this thing pretty well over the weekend.
Well, let's just call a spade, Aaron. I mean, you and your camp leaked that you wanted to be traded. Now, I don't know. To me, the headliner of this whole thing is now he wants the general manager fired. That's a report from Charles Robinson, who's a legitimate NFL reporter. If you're leaking that, like, that's a pretty bold leak. I was thinking about this earlier today of just star players who get very sensitive, and we have a lot in pro sports, especially in baseball and basketball. I don't remember, correct me if I'm wrong, in recent memory, he needs to get fired non-coach. Like, that's a bold, like, fuck you, right?
Yeah, was it a story that, like, he wants McCarthy fired?
Yeah,
I mean, we knew he did,
probably.
But I don't remember if it was, like, quite in this way.
I feel like he did a more kick him when he was down, called him, like, a dumb meathead at post the fact.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's what he thinks. Who knows if he's even wrong? But, like, legitimately, a story comes out. It feels like it's coming from his camp. Reporters hate when I source guess, but, I mean, where are you getting that? If he wants him fired, if you're going to report that, it has to come from an Aaron Rodgers camp.
Did Gutekunst leak that?
Yeah, probably not. That's a bold thing to say, right? You want the general manager fired?
Yeah. Especially when they've been
on a team that's run by a general manager.
On a team that's run by a general manager, and, we can talk about whether or not they made a mistake when they drafted a quarterback in the first round last year. But, I mean, you can't argue that this team's been really competitive. Aaron's a big part of that. Aaron's the main part of it, right? But it's not like this team has been poorly constructed. You would say, again, it's hard to separate because Aaron's really good. But I think they made a good head coaching hire, I think. Well, again, hard to separate Matt LaFleur from Aaron Rodgers.
He's won 26 games.
You would say they've done a lot of things really well. They're a no-fluff organization. I think, historically they're a model organization. Whether they're the model now, you wouldn't say they're the model now. But they're not the Texans.
They're a top 5 NFL organization.
Yeah, and they are on the line of model. You're like, yes, you would do well. So now again, a lot of things happen behind the scenes. We've been in the situation. Everybody listening or watching has been in a situation where people outside of your place of business don't know what goes on inside your place of business. So who knows? But I thought Gutekunst, you post. I saw it because you posted. Gutekunst was asked. Gutekunst handled it really well. Like, they are not going scorched earth. They are trying to. And the Texans, remember when David Culley, and it was like, oh, he's on our team right now. Like, the Texans, who was in charge? Who's speaking for the team? There was no doubt who speaks for the Packers.
Aaron is in a different universe than Deshaun Watson, though, right?
But Deshaun's still big enough that you guys should all be on the same page. What is our messaging going to be? Who speaks for our organization? So, to me, the Packers are operating, and obviously this is what they want to be. They're operating like a team that's going to try and have Aaron Rodgers be their quarterback this year, right?
Yet, I don't really know what he can do moving forward besides just if these leaks keep coming, then it'll show like he's pretty adamant he's trying to get out there. But unless he doesn't show up, does it make any sense for them to trade him? Because you and I talked last week or during our streams and just the whole time as the story was breaking. Okay, let's say the Niners are out. They're just all in on Trey Lance. The 2 teams on his list I think one thing that's been powerful about Russell and definitely Aaron is like lists. I guess Russell's legitimately came from his I called him his lawyer, his
right.
agent.
The lists do change it.
Aaron's, I don't know if it came from Aaron, but it definitely feels like it did. The Raiders, the Broncos, and the Niners. That the moment you trade him to the Broncos or the Raiders, their picks the next couple years, if you get 3 first-round picks, you have to go, they're probably going to all be 25 or more. And I just don't think you can do that. And that's why we did a video about Derek Carr would be the only guy that would make some sense if you get 2 ones. And Derek, that gives you a quarterback who's friends with your star receiver who can enable you to probably still get to the playoffs.
Fits with your offense and your coach and is good.
Yeah, but trading to the Broncos to me makes no sense unless you think Jordan Love's going to be a star. And I don't know, even if the most bullish people, which you'd say were Gutekunst and LaFleur on Jordan Love, could feel comfortable about that right now.
Considering he wasn't their backup last year, and considering it's going to be hard to get preseason OTA work this year.
Well, let's say I traded.
Did they draft him because they loved him, or just because he was the highest guy on their board?
If I think it was a combination of highest guy on the board, physical upside, and Aaron trending the wrong way. Which it wasn't even just LaFleur's first year, where I know they won 13 games, but he didn't look right. It was the previous year he'd been kind of off. So they shorted him. They shorted Aaron Rodgers the stock, and he boomed
they were
like
not the only
AMC
ones.
or GME. They were like roaring. Aaron's like roaring kitty. He's like, okay, you're going to short me? We're going to quadruple down on Reddit, and I'm going to turn into the MVP of the league. Here's the problem, though. So the Broncos idea. So I traded the Broncos, let's say, for 3 ones and a 2. Well, what if Jordan Love sucks? And then those picks are all like, one year they make the Super Bowl. Like, what if those picks are terrible? I'm fired if I'm Gutekunst. And LaFleur, my career gets derailed. I just don't think you can go with Jordan Love. Even if you liked him, it's too big of a risk for your careers, both guys.
Yeah.
Even if Rodgers makes
knowing
it set,
that the picks you're going to get are all in the future when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the team.
I think the Raiders are their only option.
Well, I think that's why it came out right before the draft, because he knew.
Unless the Niners would trade them Trey Lance, then I would have to consider that as well. Which I think is hard for the Niners to do now.
It'd be hard once you get the asset. It's one thing because like John Lynch even said, well, we're just reading the tea leaves like you guys. I'm like, well, John, you guys called before the tea leaves came out for the rest of us, but maybe he meant just historic, like the last few months Aaron's been doing. There have been, to John Lynch's credit, like there have been a few random, like, oh, he might host Jeopardy. You're like, what? Why is that a story today? Aaron might host Jeopardy? I mean, that was a rap sheet one the other day, but that was a rap sheet one like, 3 weeks ago. It's like, well, why is this a story right now? Okay.
I wonder if Aaron thought that would get a little more traction. Like, Aaron, no one believed you.
Well, they went back to it again.
Yeah. It's like, Aaron, stop telling us Jeopardy. Is there anything in like the entertainment sphere that you would believe with Aaron? Like, it's not powerful enough of a story. You're better off just saying he'll retire.
Oh, like he got Netflix is giving him like a 5-movie package
to
star alongside Adam Sandler.
Aaron, the problem is your threats are hollow to the football community, right?
Hollow to the football community, and also, there's a difference for the Packers between having to trade him to another team and just having him not be in football.
You'd rather do that.
Yeah, I think if you're the Packers, you'd rather him retire than have to trade him to the Broncos for 3 ones that are going to be in the 20s.
Yeah.
I don't think better.
I don't think you can trade him to the Broncos.
So Jeremy Fowler did say or write on Sunday that he is reportedly intrigued by the Raiders as well. He said they're happy with Derek Carr. Nothing's going on right now. They could very well extend Derek Carr sometime soon. But the Raiders look into every quarterback situation. They look to past free agents or trade options. So Gruden is sort of always lurking. You can't discount them. Someone made a good point to me the other day. They said on Twitter, they said, Gruden doesn't draft quarterbacks. Like, Gruden doesn't act like he's trying to replace Derek Carr.
No, he signs veterans. Peterman, Mariota.
Yeah.
He signs veterans. He likes older guys at that position. Now, their picks, they've been the last couple of years a middling 500 team, right? 7-9, 8-8. You're just not. In olden days, when like a Cutler or whatever might last to 11 to 15, like they would have been in somewhat of the range, these guys are getting gobbled up, all the sweet guys. Like his quarterback camp, if you look back at his quarterback camps, 4 or 5 of like the intriguing prospects would end up going second. Like he'd have the Dak Prescotts on, right? I just think those guys get drafted higher now.
But wasn't that just because he talked to like 15 different quarterbacks, or no?
That might be true now too.
Didn't he talk to everybody? I could be wrong about that.
But bottom line is, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, it's not even a conversation. Like, if you really could get Aaron Rodgers for Derek Carr in like 2-1s, someone DM'd me the other day, like, listen, I'm a Raider fan. I don't quite understand, at least it feels like from the outside, why aren't we being more aggressive when Russell Wilson and fucking Aaron Rodgers say we want to come? Al Davis rolling over and is great. Like, in fairness, you and I talked about it like a couple days ago. It doesn't get much better than the 2 of the 5 best. I mean, Rodgers arguably the first last year, and Russell's like the third. What are we doing here?
I do think the problem with that is what does that mean? Like, you are dealing with 2 teams who have those players under contract, who are not incentivized to trade those players for 70 cents on the dollar. So you can be as aggressive as you want. There is not a price
but
you can give.
But there has not been a report they've made an offer.
Well, but again, there's not a price you think they've called the Packers or the Seahawks? I bet they have. There's not a price you can offer the Packers that would make them willingly trade Aaron Rodgers. I'm convinced of that. There is nothing you can put on the table right now that would make them go, like, let's say Aaron wasn't being a problem, that would make them just trade him. So they're going to try, and I would do it too, I think. Now, maybe they're waiting for a post.
Do you think if I called right now and said, hey, I'll give you 4 1s, 4 2s, and Derek Carr, they might say, hey, well, get back to you?
I think they might still say no.
Yeah. Well, you would rather have Aaron Rodgers than anything else.
Yeah.
Right?
They want to win a Super Bowl this year.
I don't want your fucking drafts. I want Aaron Rodgers.
So I think that's what's hard. If you're like Wise and Gruden being more aggressive. Well, he's trying to buy something that someone isn't selling.
Yeah. The guy wants his team to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for both guys, though, and I think Russell, whether they talked him back into it, whether it was just the emotion of the end of the season.
Whether it comes back up.
I do think they had a terrible loss, right? A home game to Heineke, or Heineke's on the Washington team. What was his name? I don't even remember. I've never
Who'd they play?
The Rams Wake Forest guy. Remember that guy? Walford.
Bison Daly? John Walford?
Yeah. Walford meets Goff. That was just losing a playoff game at home for Seattle. I get it was empty. That was just pretty bad.
Yeah.
To the Rams. So Russell was just, I think, emotional. The Rodgers thing does feel a little more big picture. Feels like he's been thinking about this. You do just wonder, like, could the Raiders potentially just get to an offer where if they do come to grips and talk themselves into it, if they ever do, they are the most equipped to become aggressive on it, for sure.
By far.
I just don't see how the Denver could get him if the Raiders wanted him. If both teams wanted him, the Raiders should get him.
I agree.
Because the one thing is, obviously Derek's just part of the package.
And the same.
I think for the Packers, you feel like you can make the playoffs. I do think, and we'll get into this probably as the week goes.
Here's a question. Before he was the MVP, what would the Packers have said about the possibility of swapping Aaron Rodgers for Derek Carr?
Like a year ago?
Yeah, like going into last year.
Yeah, I mean, you would.
Could they have internally gone, you know what? This guy can actually be our quarterback in the future for the next 8 years.
But his value a year ago wasn't as good as his value is.
No, that's true. That's true.
So you would have had to give up more compensation. Like, I think it's easier for the
put it this way:
if Derek's a 1.
If you had said to the Packers, you want to draft Jordan Love and try to replace Aaron Rodgers with him in 2021, or do you want to just swap out Aaron Rodgers for Derek Carr right now? I know what the better option would have been for them.
Like, do you think when General Patton calls Gutekunst and it says, "Hey, any package we'll put together, unlimited amount of picks, you can have Locke or Teddy"? Do you think he just hears, whatever
both.
hang up?
Actually, we've got some DNA we froze from Elway. We'll let you grow that into another human. It's from '83. It's the good stuff.
Yeah.